Just general one game left before conference play. How are you feeling about the team?
Well, I feel good. I don't feel good today because they just came off of 3 days of eating turkey and dressing and ham and everything on the Christmas dinner and lunch list. But we got a good 2 hours of work in and working on some things, not just for the next game, but starting conference play. Oh, yeah, you expect it, and I've learned the older I get, the wiser I get. Just don't get mad. Just keep making them work and keep making them get back into shape. And you just know when you have breaks that you expect that. I've never had a team come back from the Christmas break that worked out the entire time and they look great. It's human nature. You go home and you relax and you eat. Uh-huh. Look, I could lose a few extra calories myself, but I'm back home, so I got to learn how to get back in shape myself.
With this break, have you had a chance to kind of look back at the first half, like first part of the season, so to speak, and see what your team has done well and what they haven't?
I don't look back. We're not good enough that I can look back yet. We have one more game, and when that game is over tomorrow night, we will do a big X over those games and say, grade yourself. What do you think you did good? What do you think you did bad? And then we will start all over and start getting ready for Georgia. Certainly the record is good, but we know what lies ahead in conference.
And first time we're speaking with you after since the West Palm Beach Invitational, how did you think your team played?
Well, we won, and that's good. There are little things that I don't know if we're capable of doing yet or if it's just me being greedy. When we extend a lead, we don't tend to hang on to it. An example would be in that last game against Texas Tech, we allowed a three to be made when the clock's running out and the game's over. Well, if you don't allow that three, you win by 17, and it's like, but coach, you won by 14. I get it. But what if we needed that three not to go in and we were up two in the SEC? It's teaching things like that on how to extend leads, how to hang on to leads, and how important shots are no matter where you are, in the game, into the game, into the half. I think we've improved in a lot of areas, but we have to learn how to not be content and how to hang on to those leads.
Well, how difficult is it to have that kind of a teaching moment when you're up almost 20 points and a final shot goes in that to them may seem irrelevant, but to you would prove a better point?
You have to teach it. If it's at the end of the game, you teach it in the locker room. If it's at the end of the half, you teach it right there in that moment on the court. Not to embarrass the kid, but it's my job to make it real for him and go, wow, I got to walk out there right now and say, let me tell you what you just did. And I've seen progress in that area with Tamia, where, at UL and Asia. I had to go explain something to them in the moment before we jogged off the court at halftime. So if there's a moment to teach it on the court, again, not to embarrass them, but to make it real for them so that it will be there forever. And later in the season, same scenario happened, and I was so proud of them because they remembered.
Right, and just one more game before the conference play. You already touched on it, but is there something you really want them to show improvement on against Sanford before taking on Georgia?
You can never be content. They're excited, the community's excited, but you can never be content and think that you've arrived, because we haven't. We're climbing little by little. We're making those little milestones seem really, really big, and they are big in the eyes of people that watch this program, but we've got a long way to go.
Standard-wise, how much is the team doing better or as you expected so far this year?
Well, I didn't have just this magical standard. I didn't get to work with them this summer. I didn't know strengths and weaknesses. I didn't know any of the freshmen. But what I can tell you is I've never been disappointed going on the floor every day with effort. They give me everything they have. Sometimes they don't have the knowledge because it takes time to gain that knowledge, but if you just give me the effort, I can live with that.
Yeah, how are you able to, you had some conference teams had a game postponed just now. The SEC's got new protocols. How are you hoping to keep them healthy, or is it just kind of, Is it more difficult now than it has been before? How are you approaching it?
Well, to me, it's been difficult for 2 years, Scott. I met with the team today with our trainer who knows all the procedures and the protocols of LSU and the state and SEC. What I can share with them is what we've been told about there will be no more forfeits. It will be postponement. If you have 7 I hope I say this right. Y'all check with Michael in case I'm wrong, but 7 scholarship players and 1 coach, you must play. If you have less than that, then you can postpone it, or you can choose to play it. Is what I've been told, is that if somebody has a full squad and you're down to 6 and you want to play it, you can play it. But if not, you can postpone it, and I guess that's where all the fun stuff starts, and when do you play it? But it's not an automatic forfeit, which I'm grateful for, because that would be a tough pill to swallow.
Coach, Alexis Morris signed an NIL deal with the Gord McKernan law firm, and they said it was important that it was a female athlete, that was their first and whatnot, and they were really up to date on her story with you, and how she was initially thrown off the team and circled her way back. Just your thoughts on her overall, and how, is that important, these NIL deals, to your players?
Well, the NIL deal is important to all of LSU athletes. If you'll remember, we were the first probably to really, I remember the Times Square big advertisement, and I don't think anybody beat LSU to the punch, and I give credit to our people. I mean, they embraced it, and they went out, and people are talking about it across the country. I said this when it all started being talked about several years ago. I bet if you took a poll then, coaches weren't for it. It was scary. Here you are all your life being told, oh, that's against NCAA rules. Oh, you better not feed a kid. Oh, don't put a kid in a car. Don't give them a Coke. Don't buy. And now all of a sudden, they can make more money than coaches. You can do whatever. And they can do it with people who are alumni of the university who have all these corporations or businesses. So it's a total different 360 than what we've all been taught. So you better embrace it, or you're going to get left behind in recruiting. And so for Alexis Morris to do that sends a message that people are recognizing not just her story, but women's basketball. And when women's basketball at LSU starts getting those NIL deals, recruits are seeing it across the country. It's social media is here to stay. We don't like parts of social media, but social media, if you do it right, can be a big positive for your program. So it's here to stay. And the thing is, we know nothing about how to help them other than what our people at LSU meet with them and tell them what's allowed and what's not allowed. I don't want to be, and I can't be a part of any of those negotiations or deals because it's illegal. So when you find out about it is usually when I find out about it. And yet we have the resources here at LSU for them to go meet with the right people to make sure they're following the rules.
I guess it's a credit to your team. You won those 2 games, and I didn't even notice that Hannah wasn't out there the last couple of games.
Well, you missed the last press conference. I told you she'd been suspended for disciplinary reasons, and she's back out there today and looks good and is excited to be back.
So she'll be playing tomorrow, you think?
Well, depends on if I want her in the game or not, but yes, she's back, and I anticipate her playing. She was out 4 games. I think she's suspended 4 games.
What have you seen from Sanford, and kind of break down that matchup a little bit?
Honestly, 1-2-2 press, another press, a zone, not to overlook Samford at all. I was more worried about what I was going to see on that floor today coming back from the holidays. We went against things that they will do defensively, but it's usually the same stuff you do every day in preparation for anybody. We're not going to go into great detail. Oh, she goes left, she shoots this percentage. We got to get up and down the floor tomorrow night. We know they're 4-8. We know who they've lost to, who they've beaten, but we're more concerned about finishing up the non-conference the right way and about our team. And if we do what we've been doing, we're gonna be okay. And if we don't, then Sanford will leave here with a victory. We good? All right.